It's time for an update. I've been using my M1 MacBook Pro with a 24-core GPU for about a year now, and I have to say, it's been great, but there's also been some downsides, and I want to talk about that in today's video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to spend some time today talking about my MacBook Pro 16-inch. When I picked up this machine about a year ago, I planned on utilizing it as my desktop machine. The main reason being, the two MacBook Airs that I worked with were doing such a fantastic job of video editing that I had to retire my old Ryzen machine. And I say old, it's a Threadripper machine that I built myself. Loved the unit, it was great at the time. And I was using the Ryzen 7 GPU, and that actually did pretty good when it came to video editing. However, fast forward a couple of years after building that machine, and I tried out the M1 based MacBook Air, and I was totally surprised about the performance of that unit. So shocked that it actually was beating the Threadripper machine when it came to video rendering times. The actual render time was 11 minutes and 45 seconds. The MacBook Air with the 8-core GPU completed the task in 10 minutes and 23 seconds. The machine with the 7-core GPU did the render in 10 minutes and 18 seconds, slightly ahead of the 8-core GPU. Having such a great experience with the M1 Air, I decided to make it my main machine. The one I tested first was my wife's, and I went out and I bought a second one that I could utilize. Now, I knew there was going to be the MacBook Pro coming out, and I knew that the processors, based upon rumors, was supposed to be much better than the one in the MacBook Air. So, after months of using the MacBook Air, as soon as the presentation came out and I saw all the fantastic things that they talked about, I decided I had to order one. So I jumped on the order site and I placed an order for the 24-core GPU version. And from what I saw in the presentation, I figured the 24-core would just be right for me. Anyhow, after utilizing the machine for a couple of weeks, it became my desktop machine. There was nothing else that I've had in my life that worked as well as this machine did. And I worked as a PC tech, and I also had a Mac that I use at work. And while I love the smaller form factor of the older machine, the fact that just using it in day-to-day use, the fan would kick up, was sort of annoying. I really wanted Apple to come out with something in that size, and when I saw this chunky beast, I was surprised. But then I thought about, my second MacBook Pro that I had, which was, I think I got it in 2007. That machine was a beast also, but the performance on it back then was pretty darn good. I took it to many places when I traveled around the world. I think it was over 5 pounds, and yeah, it wasn't that bad. As I got older now, I have to think about weight of machines. But at the time I didn't plan on traveling, so it was, 5 pounds or 4.8, whatever it was fine for me. So here we are, about 8 months later in traveling, and here's my update on this unit. So let's start with the things that I like about the machine. Performance. First and foremost, this machine is a beast when it comes to video editing. And not just editing, it's more for the render times. The one thing that really stood out for me prior to getting this machine was the fact that you can have the same performance whether you're on battery power or you're plugged in. If I remember correctly, my first full test of this machine, I think I got about 10 hours or so of usage, just doing some editing all day long and then doing some rendering. So taking it on the road, I knew that there was not going to be any issues when it came to performance. There were some hiccups. I did try to do some noise reduction when I had some issues in my setup of recording, and yes, that kicked the fan up. That caused the fan to turn on, and the fan is not loud. Most people know if you have a desktop machine, it's going to make some noise when you're doing some video rendering. Same thing for a laptop, but a laptop in a small enclosed place, it's much worse. My laptop, other than those 1, 2, maybe 3 times that I actually did that, I haven't heard the fan since. It just performed really well, no lockups. It was just great. One of the other things that I really like about this machine is the screen. Now granted, it's big. It's a 16-inch screen. I did purchase a 14-inch for my wife, and I like that machine overall. The weight of it is pretty good. The screen size isn't too bad. I mean, granted, when I started this journey, I was editing on the MacBook Air's little 13-inch screen. And I figured out how to fit my editing program on there and make it work well for me. Now, I really love the MacBook Air. Why? It's small, it's light. It was pretty powerful for what it could do, but not as powerful as this machine. But being able to just pick it up and use it whenever you want to, the weight for it was really great. The 14-inch my wife has also is a perfect machine. But I need the 16-inch screen. I like more screen real estate. My old edited monitor was 32 inches. And 32 inches is really good for video editing. I thought about going with wider, but that was great. So shrinking from 32 inches down to 16 inches, it was a bit of a tough adjustment, but I got used to it. I've not had any problems when it came to utilizing this machine outside. And I don't do that a lot, but it's been working pretty well. Where the MacBook Pro 16 falls short, and it's not really falling short if you want to get into those terms, but it's one of the areas that I think there should be an improvement on, is the battery. And that's not to say that the battery life on this machine is bad. No, by no account. What I'm talking about is the size of the battery. It's great, it's fantastic, but it makes the machine a lot heavier. And of course, those of you who've utilized Mac over the years, you realize that it also made the machine bulkier. The fan also plays a role in that, because in order to have better cooling, you had to have bigger heat sinks and bigger fans. But in order to also give the type of battery life that it has, the battery has to be larger. What that results in is a heavier machine. Granted, it's not as heavy as the old 2007 machine that I had, but it still is heavier than the old 2016 MacBook Pro, the 16-inch version. What was this, 15.6, whatever they made from back then. But I know it finally ended up with a 16 machine that was pretty thin. Going through airport security and have to constantly take the machine out of the bag, put it back in the bag, throw this thing in an overhead compartment. Yeah, it's pretty weighty. Shaving off a pound and a half, would really help. I've made a case in one of my old videos for a MacBook Air 15-inch, or something along those lines that's lighter, perform well, and have pretty good battery life. I love the MacBook Air. I keep bringing it up because yes, it's been one of the best machines that's been out there for a notebook. But imagine having something a little bit wider, maybe say like in the size of the 15-inch screen or 16-inch screen of this MacBook Pro, but thinner. That, I think, I would really gravitate towards, but only if they could maintain the power of this machine inside of that. Apple has now moved on to the M2 version. We haven't seen the M2 MacBook Pro come out just yet, but I'm really hoping that they'll do a 15-inch Air, or whatever you want to call it, MacBook, that has performance of this 24-core machine. I would give up this machine for something lighter. Other than that, I want to keep this machine. It's one of the best performing machines I've had, bar none, in all my time of owning laptops and using them for work. People will say that, the performance on PCs are catching up or they're right around there, but it's the overall package for me. Battery life, screen size, screen nits, and how it does in my normal day-to-day use. Plus the design. I've seen some of those PC machines and they're not that great. As a PC tech, I know that we've been getting some of the crappy looking machines over the years. Anytime you want something that's really good in performance, it ends up being a gaming machine, and gaming machines have too many RGB lights and there's too many extra stuff on there. Just don't like it. So I've not owned a PC laptop for years. And my old MacBook Pro lasts me for well over 10 years, so there is that. All right, so my overall conclusion is that a year later, this machine is fantastic. It still does the job. It's still one of the best performing machines on the market. And I know it's, Thanksgiving sales around the corner, going into Christmas. A lot of people are still thinking about these machines and whether they should get one. Of course, some of you want the new, and you're thinking about what the M2 chip is going to bring. But I'm telling you, a year later, this machine is still worth it. There are not many PCs out there that can perform as well as this machine. So if you're in the market and you can find one on sale, certainly pick it up.